September 11, 2001 was Election Day in New York. Rabbi Serge Lipp of Brooklyn Heights Synagogue and his wife Deb voted that morning, so they were both delayed getting to their offices, his at the synagogue and hers at Morgan Stanley Dean Witter in Midtown Manhattan, Tuesday not being the day of her standing weekly meeting in the World Trade Center's South Tower. As they became increasingly aware of the horrors unfolding across the East River, Deb's instinct was to get to her office. Rabbi Lipp writes that set off his own sense of panic. What the heck are you thinking, he thought, as images of his wife putting life and limb at risk below ground flashed by nightmarishly. In his imagination, Rabbi Lipp need not have worried about that. Getting into Manhattan was already impossible. Still, as the hours passed and Rabbi Lipp became aware of losses in his community, his mind exploded with additional concerns. He writes, anxiety and agitation mixed with profound sadness and confusion, emotions that smothered my own usually sharp sensibilities. A jumble of incoherent questions kept popping into my mind. Were we safe? Was the attack over? What should I be doing? Who do we know who might not make it home today? Rabbi Lipp, like all American rabbis, had to go back to the drawing board in preparing High Holy Day sermons, only days before Rosh Hashanah, a particularly intense exercise for New York rabbis who were preparing for the High Holy Days between consoling bereaved members, attending to the injured, and officiating funerals, often without remains to bury. Rabbi Lipp was a song leader when he was younger, so he unsurprisingly turned to music, specifically a song called Gesher Tsar Ma'od. He explains, Rabbi Baruch Chait composed the song while performing for Israeli soldiers during the Yom Kippur War. The song is usually translated as, the entire world is but a narrow bridge. The most important thing is not to be afraid. The translation of the song is correct, but Chait had changed the Hebrew words from the original, written a century earlier by Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav. Rabbi Lipp translates Rabbi Nachman's text, and know that a person needs to cross a very, very narrow bridge. And the essential principle is not to make yourself entirely afraid. Rabbi Lipp found that helpful, writing, you couldn't sensibly expect anyone in New York during those days not to be afraid at all. But not to make oneself more afraid, not to add to one's existing fear, not to give in to the terror of that time, that was wisdom I could share. American Jews suffered 9/11 type trauma again on October 7, 2023. I'm sure I'm not alone here in resonating with Rabbi Lipp's words about sadness and confusion muddling his own thought process. My son Robert called me in the wee hours of October 7th, but I was out cold, exhausted from dancing with the Torah scrolls at our Simchat Torah celebration that evening. I answered the phone, but I couldn't absorb what he was telling me. A message from my Israeli sister-in-law erased my denial when I awakened in the morning. But I still did not grasp the scope of the disaster. By the time I arrived at Temple for our Shabbat and festival morning service, I knew we had to do something. I asked Cantor Dubov to conclude the service with Hatikva, Israel's national anthem. She responded that she didn't have the sheet music in her iPad. Naturally, Cantor Dubov could lead Hatikva without any sheet music, which she did, but initially her rational thought process too was confused by a trauma we did not yet understand. We still don't. The enormity of our fears has only multiplied over the last 2 years. Few of these fears are universally shared. Some will dismiss one bucket of fears as resulting from Jewish supremacy, while others will reject another set of concerns as rooted in disloyalty to our Jewish people. Many will charge that other people's concerns are founded in denial or a fanciful view of reality. Some of these fears are mutually exclusive. Still, I hope we can acknowledge that all these fears and more are present in this room. Will there be a Jewish state of Israel the next time that Jewish people need to escape anti-Semitism and oppression where they live? Does Israel's conduct of the war teach us that a Jewish state is not a good idea and maybe never was? Can a nation rightly call itself both Jewish and democratic? Has Israel done a reasonable job at being both? How long until another, perhaps more deadly attack? And where will it come from? Nuclear weapons from Iran? Hamas in the West Bank? From Gaza again? Will anti-Semitism in America continue to proliferate as forces on the extreme right join the extreme left in twisting their criticism of Israel into Jew hatred? Has our focus on the hostages led to the deaths of Palestinian civilians? Does the continued war in Gaza threaten the lives of the hostages? Is Israel turning the West Bank into another Gaza by embittering the lives of Palestinians there? Was the West Bank another Gaza already, threatening Israel's existence even now? Can my child get through a school day or go to the college of their choosing without constantly confronting anti-Semitism? Will desperation for peace lead to a solution that will endanger Israel? Is any hope for peace gone forever? Our Yom Kippur work is not to analyze or answer any of those concerns. Instead, let us all understand that we are on a bridge between October 6, 2023 on one side and the future on the other. We must get to the other side, each of us individually alongside the state of Israel and among the Jewish people. Whatever our worries, and we all have them, the bridge is increasingly narrow. Yom Kippur is also a bridge between the person we were in 5785 on one side and our futures on the other. Let us utilize this day outside of time to forge a path toward the other side without succumbing to paralyzing fear. The core of Rabbi Nachman's message, Rabbi Lipp writes, isn't about denying fear. It is about not allowing fear to paralyze us, freezing us in place. His words remind us that life is lived by moving forward, not by allowing ourselves to become immobilized. I know only one way to cross a bridge, narrow or otherwise, and that is by moving, placing one foot in front of the other. We cannot reach the other side without action. Just as Yom Kippur does not command us merely to set good intentions for our future, but to act on them, we can direct our behavior in ways that address the worries that have plagued us since October 7th. On the afternoon of October 7th, our congregant Joe Margolick, a trauma surgeon, together with his wife Lauren, put their worries for Israel into action, researching and making inquiries that would take Joe to Israel to work as a paramedic the next month. I also went in November among a small delegation of Reform rabbinic leaders to bear witness and to pay a pastoral call on our Israeli colleagues and the communities they serve. Across these 2 years, Temple member Lee Rudofsky, a federal judge, has taken groups of judges and now also prosecutors to see Israel with their own eyes at its time of crisis. He's also worked diligently, if quietly, to stem anti-Israel anti-Semitism on the extreme right. A volunteer opportunity is available to folks between ages 26 to 50 to join our operations manager, Michael Roberts, in Israel during winter break. The trip is extremely inexpensive, a few $100 seriously, including the flight. So please let Michael know if you're interested. A trip to Israel will increase some people's worries, for themselves or for their loved ones. Each time I go, my father is terrified. Not everybody can take such a trip, but there are things we can all do. Learn more about the conflict, or about Israel, or about Palestinians, reading books and articles from a variety of perspectives. Educate others if you feel qualified. Confront anti-Semitism forthrightly. Don't let it pass unnoticed. Donate to causes that bring your values to life in Israel and or the Palestinian territories and here in America as well. All the world, Kol Haolam Kulo, and certainly the state of Israel and the Jewish people are on a Gesher Tzam Od, a very narrow bridge, as we reach the second anniversary of October 7th. We do have reason to be afraid, but we do not come to temple on Yom Kippur to languish in our fears or to multiply them. Instead, Yom Kippur is our opportunity to build a better future. Let each of us seize that opportunity, and may we, Israel, and our Jewish people, alongside the mixed multitude in the region, reach the other side in peace, sitting under our vine and our fig tree, with none to make us afraid.